Good morning, everybody. I'm pleased to welcome each of you to our Recharging Reform Judaism Conference, a project that we have been working on for over a year. My name is Anshan, and I'm one of the coordinators and founders of this conference. Thank you. This conference arose from discussions that a number of us began to have several years ago on concerns and issues that we identified facing us as Reform Jews and talking about the future of Reform Judaism in North America. Over time, others joined our conversations, and Rabbi Ami Hirsch, our host for this conference, joined us and suggested that we have a conference and invite others to engage in deep conversation on the identified issues and talk about ideas and challenges. Thus was born this conference. Our objective for the next 2 days is to learn from keynote presenters, discuss ideas, debate the challenges as we explore, in what we hope will be a meaningful and productive dialogue, the future of Reform Judaism, and what the future holds for individual Reform Jews in these times. Our hope is to have a meaningful, high-level discussions in the workshops that follow our plenary sessions. And we encourage all of you to share your ideas and thoughts. Your contributions are critical to the success of our time together and will provide the basis for our continued work. We want together to understand at a deep level, to define the challenges and create a base of knowledge for the next phase of our project that we will discuss tomorrow at the closing session, when we will put forward our ideas for next steps in the post-conference work. In these 2 days, we want to address the questions: why are we in the current situation of challenges, and what are these challenges? In other words, how do we define them and understand them? I want to welcome the acting Israel Consul General, Yisrael Nitzan, and his newly appointed Deputy Sach Zahar, for being with us this morning. We have several leaders of our reform organizations attending, and we appreciate that they have made the effort to be with us. From the Israel Movement for Progressive Judaism, we welcome the CEO, Anna Kaslansky, and David Bernstein, Director of Development, and we welcome Rabbi Ayelet Samuels, Chair of Maram, the Israel Reform Rabbis Association. We are pleased to welcome the leadership from the Union for Progressive Judaism, President Rabbi Sergio Bergman, immediate past Chair Carol Sterling, and Vice President Finance Andrew Keene, who is also a member of our Conference Planning Committee and one of our workshop moderators. We welcome other leaders of other organizations who have taken the time to be with us from around other parts of the world. We also welcome the leaders of our movement affiliates who are with us and have supported us at this conference, and we thank you for your support and for being with us. I wish to thank my dear friend, Ami Hirsch, for hosting this conference and being central to the team that planned our time together. Our thanks to the staff of Stephen Wise Free Synagogue for their time, energy, and attention to the multitude of details to bring us to this day. To Cantor Dan Singer and the Cantors for providing us with meaningful worship and music experiences as we saw this morning. Many of you were instrumental in helping us think about and plan the content of this conference and coordinate the marketing and publicity. And there are too many of you to name by individuals, including the over 70 rabbis, cantors, educators, temple administrators, and lay leaders who added their name as supporters. We thank each of you for your commitment and ongoing support. My personal thanks to Rabbis Bennett Miller, Jeff Salkin, and Michael Zedek for working closely with us as an inner team of advisors. My personal thanks to my close friends Michael and Roberta Schroeder for their support and donations, including the registration bags and swag that you received this morning when you registered. And to Michael for being with us during the conference to help with troubleshooting and problem solving. Now I end my thanks with a very special thank you to Rabbi Tracy Kaplowitz. Tracy is the newest member of the Stephen Wise rabbinic team. She was hired by Ami to direct their Amplify Israel program and to work with me on coordinating the conference. Tracy did the very heavy lifting in coordinating and arranging speakers, the plenaries and the workshops, and all the multitude of details. And I thank Ami for his insight in hiring Tracy. And I thank Tracy for her patience in working with me, and moreover, being a new friend. In your bags, you will find 3 index cards and a pen. And these cards are for you to write a question that you may have in each of the 3 plenary sessions. And they will be collected prior to the Q&A part of those sessions. It's now my pleasure to call on Rabbi Neal Katz, Rabbi of Temple Beth El in Tyler, Texas, a member of our conference team and a friend, for opening reflections and introducing our keynote and host rabbi, Ami Hirsch.
Boker Tov. Before I start, this is awesome. This is like when I wouldn't take a picture. I love it. So my name is Neal Katz. I'm a rabbi at Congregation Beth El in Tyler, Texas. It's a small 75 family congregation, about 2 hours east of Dallas. It's not near anything. And I've been there since my ordination 20 years ago. It's quietly hidden away from the large cities and the noisy commotion and the personalities that dominate so much of organized Jewish life. And so I proudly sit in East Texas and I tend to my little 137-year-old congregation. But a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to honor a friend and a rabbi who was celebrating his 50th year since ordination. In preparation for that celebration, I embarked on a personal project of reaching out to some of his colleagues to get video clips where they shared funny stories and fond remembrances of this rabbi. All I had to do was just record a quick Zoom conversation and then edit the video. But for those of you who know me, I don't do 5-minute interviews and then just turn off the camera, right? After all, these were colleagues and they were also celebrating 50 years in the rabbinate. So all of those conversations, after I got the clips about this other rabbi, all those conversations turned into hour-long Zoom calls where we just talked about personal backgrounds and career paths, and inevitably, each one of those chance encounters led to some heavy conversation about the current state of the Reform movement and about Reform Judaism. And all of those wonderful exchanges happened to coincide with some of my own personal questions and concerns that I was having with the state of our movement in which I was raised and ostensibly I represent. And throughout many of these calls with these venerated rabbis, and in more personal conversations with other colleagues, a name kept popping up from time to time. And that was Rabbi Ami Hirsch. So I had never met him before, but I certainly knew who he was, and as those conversations intensified, I said, you know what, I'm just gonna reach out to him. I emailed him, and 2 days later, we were on a Zoom call just to talk. I wanted to soundboard some of my concerns and questions to him. And so we had that meaningful Zoom conversation where we got to talk about things like the state of Reform Judaism, congregational life, universalism versus particularism and that struggle, Zionism, institutional concerns, and so on. And for me, in that call, what Rabbi Hirsch offered was an incredibly insightful and descriptive commentary about what ails us as a movement. But yet he was also uplifting and prescriptive about how we could possibly move forward with renewed strength. And at the end of the conversation, he told me that he was working with others on developing a conference where he would have these exact kind of conversations on a grand scale. He then asked, would I be interested in being part of a planning committee and helping to... He didn't need to finish. I said, yes, fine, sign my name on the line. I'd be happy to be involved. So I spent the past year in meeting after meeting, watching Jewish professionals and lay leaders organize this conference. We got into lofty conversations about ideology and visioning and who the presenter should be, and we spent just as much time wordsmithing the text that went on the website and voting on logo choices. Why? Because this conversation is important, and it's needed. Whether it's here in New York City or it's in the rolling hills of East Texas, it's time for an open and honest and communal conversation about the state of liberal Jewish life in America. And so we begin. Rabbi Ami Hirsch is the senior rabbi here at Stephen Wise Free Synagogue. He grew up in the DC area before moving to Israel for his high school years. And from 1977 to 80, he served as a tank commander in the Israel Defense Forces. He then received a law degree from the London School of Economics and is a member of the New York State Bar. He then went to rabbinic school here in New York at HUCJAR. Prior to his congregational rabbinate here at Stephen Wise, he spent 12 years as the executive director of the Association of Reformed Zionists of America, ARTZA. He's a speaker. He currently hosts a podcast called In These Times. He's an author whose new book is called The Lilac Tree. And he was one of the initial voices that envisioned this conference. So it's my great pleasure this morning to introduce Rabbi Ami Hirsch as our opening speaker.